Hi guys, today we're going to fit the Gates power grip water pump tensioner and timing belt kit. I am going to be doing a lot more work today. I suspect the inlet gasket is on its way here today, so the inlet manifold will be installed potentially today as well. So I'll probably do this video in 3 separate bits. Yeah, it'll probably be part 1000 by the time the MOT comes. Exaggeration, it won't be that. It won't take too long, I don't think. He says. I haven't put the battery on and tested off the electric yet. Don't even know if the horn works. Yeah, so we'll crack on with this. Now, I have taken this off and you watched that video for those of you who have watched it and continued watching through the series. So I'm literally just going to go over the major points of talking, etc. Talking bolts, not talking. Make that clear. I talk too much. Right, first job is to get this locking plate back in. So we've got to turn the cams so that we've got the pointers, the red marks facing each other again. A bit windy today. Done. That's always fitted. Those cams are now in the correct position. Because I can tell that 6 and 7 are protruded exactly. So these are being torqued up, by the way, these camshaft sprockets, because I had to take the sprockets off to take the cover off. They are 25. The book says I think around 25 newton meters, but no, it doesn't. 45. But I've done it up a little bit more than that. It's not advisable, but I actually put the timing tool in and then torque them up because there is no way of holding the camshafts. The book says use a counter hold tool. I don't have one of them. I think they're a little bit unnecessary. I did initially whack them up with the impact gun, but I was a bit too scared of breaking the camshafts, but I don't think that was the case. I don't think that would have been the case. Anyway, next job, we're going to fit the water pump. It's the same bolts that are down there. And you torque them up to 10 newton meters. I've jacked up the engine for a bit of better access. I'll have to take the wheel off in a second. Just sand the faces down, make sure it's all nice and clean, and then you're good to go. Point to note, the seal doesn't need any silicone or anything. You don't need to put Hylamar on this at all, because this is what does the sealing. Just make sure that it's on in the right place. And the trick is, when you're installing it, is to have a bolt in your hand for the water pump so that the seal doesn't have a chance to drop off or actually come out of the groove, because that would be a bit tricky. Okay, right, okay, you got the pump and we've got the space where it goes down there. And I'm just going to offer it up like this. This straight edge here goes that way. Just put it in on the dowels. There's 2 bolts to be aware of with the water pump. This one, which goes just here, and this is the stud for the one of the tension. I think it's the tensioner for one of the drive belts. And that bolt is a long bolt that goes in at the back, going through into the water pump. So it goes through the cover into the water pump. Getting the back bolt in. So it's coming through there at the top. Now, this is one of them occasions where I can't really get a torque wrench in. Well, I could, but okay, so that's all whacked in now and torqued to 10 newton meters, every single one of them. Now the next thing on the list is put the tensioner on. Now some people put the belt on, then the tensioner. I think that's more difficult, and I think that's what the book says. But I've found in the past that if you put the belt on then the tension, it's a bit difficult to get this on. So I'd prefer to put this on and just lock it in the off position. We'll just bolt it in and then we'll tension it when the belt is on. So we'll just put this on in the locating pin. Right, one thing I forgot to mention is make sure that the tensioner, when you put it in, this wire is just over this pillar bolt, right? Make sure it's just sitting on top of it, okay? And make sure that that is at the 9 o'clock position, and then just not tighten it, just make sure it's tight enough just so you can move the tension when you need to. So let's put the belt on. Now, when fitting a new timing belt, I always have the writing facing me this way. So we're just going to hook it over as best we can, making sure that it's nice and taut between the cam sprockets. Now, this is where it gets a bit fiddly. Power steering is doing my heading. It just won't find a place to house itself without me having to elbow it out the way. So if we just put that on. And then simply to tension, when you've got everything in position and the belt's nicely around the tensioner, nice and even, you literally just get a hex 6 and tension it anti-clockwise to that position. It's usually about the 7 o'clock position, and then you're done. Okay, and that's all taut to 25 Newton meters. Just make sure they keep at them two level. It's just practically level while you torque it up, because when you're doing the final torquing up, that unless you've got the hex in there and you're holding the hex while torquing it up, that can actually move and over tighten. Right, this is really disappointing, guys. I don't know how this has happened, but I'm going to assume now that this belt is not the correct one. I've got it on, I've got it tensioned, even though the tensioner seems to have gone off for some reason. That's another thing I'm not happy with. Put the belt on, and yeah, seems to be nice and true, you know, nice and tensioned. Only issue was a real pain to get on, and I had to ignore what I told you before about putting the tensioner on and putting the belt on. No chance. Even with the tensioner slackened off all the way, I couldn't get the belt on. That's not right in itself. The second reason, now I know I've taken the cam sprocket off, but they're actually splined in. You can't get it wrong unless you're an idiot. And they've been torqued back in appropriately. Those lines, they're pretty much level. I know they don't seem level, but one is just slightly further up. But the locking tool only just goes in. It's a bit of a struggle. Down here, you can't really see, but basically where this line is, it's supposed to line up with these two dots here, where it doesn't. That, for me, is not good enough. So I'm going to have to rethink what we're doing here. Something has moved suddenly. I've turned it over, put the crankshaft sprocket on, turned it round twice, no issues. But if I tried the cam locking tool, I have given this some abuse trying to take it off because it got stuck the one time. It won't fit. I have to turn it just slightly, and if I turn it, that will go back that way, so that line won't even line up at all. So there's something not quite right. I don't think this belt is very good. I think it's a poor manufacturer. Now I'm going to stop here because I can't proceed any further and I just don't like what I see here. So what I'm going to do is get another belt. I'm afraid it has to be this way. I'm just going to order a belt and that is it, because that's not right at all. That is really frustrating. I've never had a problem from Gates belts before, but that one, I haven't got the old one. I wish I'd have kept it. I got rid of the old one about a week ago. I'd have compared it for size, because I swear it's like a millimetre or two out. It just barely fits over the tensioner, with the tensioner slackened off, and when you put the tension on, it feels like, well, what happens is the cam, one of the cams is actually moving under the pressure. I can't take the locking tool out as a result. So everything's lined up properly, everything's all right, the tension and water pump are in, but the belt isn't. It's one of them, I've already fitted them, and I don't want to be going for the faff of sending it back. I just need to see another one and compare. So I'm going to order another one. It won't be too expensive for just the belt, so we'll see how that is. But even though I had a load of things I wanted to do today, I wanted to put all the engine mounts back on and everything, but that's now on hold. What I can do is this. Right, the only thing I haven't flushed out, 2 bolts, take it out, take the level sensor out, unplug that, and we'll just give it a bit of a flush over and a bit of a clean down here. A couple of cans of carb clean and some swishing with the water. It is a little bit better. It's not as it's certainly not as grubby. There's still bits and pieces that you can't get at, but I'm not going to do one of those YouTube videos before and after. Look how I did it, and then you realise I've actually just bought a brand new one. Yeah, expansion tanks are like that. So I'll just hook it back in. It's only 2 hoses, and apparently you've got the level sensor at the bottom, and please tell me I haven't dropped that now. Yeah, I've gone and dropped that. 2 seconds. This is the coolant level sensor, and they only fitted this to the later facelift ones because they actually realised it was such a problem, people losing coolant and not realising it until the head gasket had blown. Hey, well, I'm just going to put that back in and end here. Unfortunately, tried to get some positivity out of a really rubbish day, but yeah, I'm going to just have to leave the engine like this because there's just no way about it. It's not going anywhere. It's all timed. As I've just made sure that the crankshaft is correct, and see, that is still a bit stiff, but it does go in, and that's what you want. It's perfect. Good timing. But yeah, tensioner water pump are in, but I don't want to take them back off the car to send them back to someone. I'd just rather just get another belt and confirm that it is the belt. I'm pretty sure it is. Oh well, these things happen. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.